Hey guys, here's another fight, debate. This is, Carnage versus Green Lantern. And I actually made this fight because they both pretty much have power items that, with their mind, they can really much do anything with. And so I figured, why not these two? This is pretty much a classic, DC versus Marvel fight. But I don't think it's ever been done before, so I figured I'd try to do something with it. Well, at first I think the fight would start with maybe with Carnage. He's like in space or something. He's been sent to a space prison, and like he escapes obviously because he's that's how crazy he really is. Um Now as he's escaping, he probably ends back up on Earth, and then pretty much the Green Lantern of Sector 2814, Hal Jordan. No, you know what? I'm gonna go with John Jones, cause John Jones is actually more of a more of a he's more of a tough guy. I say, yeah, he's more of a tough guy. And so I figured when I put a crazy guy up against a tough guy who doesn't take no BS, he doesn't take no bullcrap. Um, Now John Jones, I believe, was like he was born maybe around the 1940s, and he was like a war veteran, but then he was kind of brought to life when he became Green Lantern. I guess like his ring went back in time or something. I'm not too particularly sure, but yeah, John Jones. He's a tough guy. I believe he was in a couple of wars, and he's pretty much the war kind of turned his back on him. I think he ended up homeless at some point, and so that would be a cool dynamic to see these two together. Now John Jones, he has a bounty, and he's sent to get Carnage, aka Cletus Cassidy. Now Cassidy, um he's very lethal, and he's a psychopath, and he's a very murderous psychopath. And so unlike Venom, he has control over the suit, and so that would be to his advantage, because because unlike Venom, the suit doesn't control him, or it doesn't try to reason with him to help him make his decisions for him. He just makes decisions by himself, and so the fight will pretty much break out all hell and just pretty much destroy a big piece, a big part of the area that they're in. I'd say maybe let's say they end up in Cleveland. I don't know why I picked Cleveland, but let's just say they end up in Cleveland, and they end up destroying pretty much half of that region. No, let's say they end up destroying DC. They end up destroying the Washington DC. And pretty much Carnage is kind of like the same as Alex Mercer. Um, he has this kind of growth in him and on him. He could pretty much like make up a type of armor out of his suit, out of a symbiote, and he can like his fingers and his hands can become weapons and blades. And so I think throughout this fight, John will pretty much like punch him through walls and knock down buildings and try to keep him in a secured area. Like John probably put like a spear of energy around Carnage, but then Carnage would like he'd break out, like he'd let's say, I think he tried to increase his body mass by like making his symbiote like even larger than it already is, and trying to break the spear, and then he ends up actually breaking the spear. Now this is pretty much also a classic fight of good versus evil, the darkness versus the light. And this is true because Carnage is very dark and Green Lantern pretty much is the opposite. He's very light. He brings the light and tries to bring peace throughout the galaxy and Sector 2814. So Carnage would probably end up cutting John up pretty bad, I think, and he probably end up like leaving like kind of one of those marks that you see like going through the eye, like one going like kind of going through the eyelid and down and upward, and then probably end up cutting his suit up a little bit, and then I'm sure that John's would be like in major pain, and then he'd like get kind of angry, like Rah! And then he'd kind of just grab Carnage with one hand, with and then hold him down, and then he'd punch him until he's kind of knocked out for a minute, and then as Carnage was waking up, he would like keep punching him and punching him down into the ground, kind of leaving an imprint within the concrete. And he kept punching him and punching him and punching him until Carnage just wasn't moving. And then John kind of flies up to see if Clay is okay, and John ends up carrying Clay, and then out of nowhere Clay wakes up. What am I talking about, Clay? I mean Cassidy. Cassidy wakes up, and you can kind of see his eyes just pop open, and because John's trying to strip the suit of Cassidy, and then Cassidy just kind of wakes up, and then he and the suit get kind of angry, and then they start um they pretty much attack John, and he kind of doesn't see it happen, and so he's not paying attention to Cassidy, and so he pretty much jumps on John's back and he kind of stabs him with his nails or whatever you'd call it, or his knives, and he pretty much bring John down to the ground, and John kind of have like a crash landing, injuring John even more, and then Cassidy would John would pretty much beat Cassidy's ass, really, and then he'd probably hold Cassidy by the neck and try to squeeze him until he's pretty much knocked out. And while he's doing that, Cassidy, he's extending his arm on the ground, and he has his arm and his hand is in the form of a knife. And I'm sorry guys, but Cassidy he pretty much stabs John in the back straight through his chest and ending up killing him. And the thing that happened that guy John killed was John was he underestimated him, and he didn't go that extra step in securing him and neutralizing him. And since Cletus Cassidy, he's so crazy and mentally deranged, and he's a psychotic killer, he pretty much just stabs John back and kind of brings it upward to his neck and through his skull, and pretty much kind of cutting him in half, pretty much. And really, John Stewart had a good run, but in the end, Cletus Cassidy, he ended up going the extra mile, and he ended up killing John without John seeing it, and John was blind to the fact that he didn't think he would get hurt. And so Carnage won. Carnage killed a Green Lantern, and a great light had gone out in the universe that day. Alright guys, let me know if you want what you want the next fight to be. Comment down below, subscribe up top, and Excelsior.